We've gone on quite the journey.
Okay, we have gone quite the journey. This very spot is where we sat pre any workshop, and we created a video, a live,
yeah, you're right.
a Facebook Live, sitting right here, inviting people into our first workshop that we had no idea what was going to be about.
Yes, just come and actually participate. That was the only thing that we knew.
Floundering with white paper all over the place, deciding.
You're right.
What would we go on a journey to work together? To do after just meeting a couple weeks ago or something, or maybe a month or something.
So when of that would have been April, May of 20...
We officially met on the spring equinox.
So what is that?
I don't know, the end 20-something of April.
Of April, yeah.
Yes.
So, and it was this year, of 2019.
Yes, of this year.
May, June, July, August, September, and we're just in October, so we've known each other for 5 months.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird, and in that time we've done
It's weird in that, just to be clear, it's weird in that how many things we've actually accomplished and how, and the depth and breadth of awareness, but also integration with what Sharon and I've been doing for 20 odd years, and what you've been doing for quite some time.
Right.
And with varying success, just like varying success for us. So you're right, that actually is wild in that short period of time.
Right. Which I think shows the power of pull in having a similar trajectory or mission or
which
purpose.
Has become our little...
This is our...
So no, get it right. It's actually here from the left, right? Yeah, you go like this.
Yes.
There's the trajectory with core values, purpose, vision, and then strategy and structure and sweet spot. And here's the stuff that you actually got to go do and down in the swamp there to be able to go and let go so you can stay at that high frequency, which is what you've been doing. You've been holding that high frequency through all these conversations with the new marketing methodology that we just unveiled to the world today, which is the flow marketing methodology.
Which is based and premised on the concept of documenting evolution, where we're in a world of unknown unknowns, and we can't possibly know as much as we try to hold to something.
And let me tell you, I've done a very good job of trying to hold to something to actually make sure, come on, let's spit out what this thing needs to actually happen today, tomorrow, whatever.
Push to get it done.
Friggin' push. I come from the era of push.
Right. So when we had met, which I think the camera went off for that story, when we met at a restaurant, I was looking for somebody who was going to offer structure and had some business chops in this whole concept of building an interdependent business model, if you will, that was really about raising consciousness on the planet through business in a flow methodology, because this is really where we have come to understand we're all evolving to, is that there isn't, bricks and mortar age is done, everything in boxes is done, having labels of who you are. We're really living in a holistic world at this point, where we understand there really was always unknown unknowns. We really are.
Yes,
everything is really a mystery.
Yeah.
So
actually, yes, because I was actually reflecting on that. The ultimate structure is flow.
Yeah.
And flow, moving at a really dense vibrational frequency, presents as bricks and mortar. And then when it speeds up a little bit more, it presents as digital. And when it really speeds up, it actually then presents as the way of having, doing, being as a human being, because it's totally aligned with us. Flow is who we are, as well as how we are, as well as why we are, as well as where we are. When you integrate at that level.
And it's really about alignment and doing what you love to do, which is your purpose, which has been called your purpose, and holding to your purpose and trusting that your purpose is something of that will bring you joy.
Yes. And the structure, when you're doing what you love, the structure has to change. In a bricks and mortar scenario, you do what you love, there's all kinds of phenomena that actually you will attract to you that will not make sense. You'll have situations, you'll have wins, and you'll have losses that used to make sense and are now going to make less and less sense as to why is it that I used to do this kind of thing, we used to do these marketing, this kind of a sales, this approach, this go-to-market strategy. It worked, it's working less. It's not working anymore. Right. So sustained success is the challenge in this new economy, because the new economy, the structure of flow is presenting not as bricks and mortar, but as digital. And sustaining success in a digital economy requires a whole different methodology for marketing, for leadership, for strategy, for structure, for process, motivation, your people development, operational development. It's a whole different structured thinking that informs new structured ways of having, doing, and being. And this is what I was looking for, is realizing we needed to actually digitize our methodology that we've been using with clients, helping them move through transformations in the bricks and mortar world, and helping them actually lead in a way that was more aligned with, which now becomes very obvious, in a way that's aligned with flow. And so what we've been doing for 5 odd months here is strategizing and coming together, and we've done a number of workshops downtown Toronto where we were looking to create an understanding of, is there a market for this? What, from a market intelligence standpoint, how would you talk about this? Who would you talk about? Where would you market it? To whom would you market? So we went out with the blind faith that says, no, I'm feeling really moved to do this where? Pickering, Waterloo, because there's big tech sector in Waterloo. No, and poked around here, Burlington, Oakville. No, let's go to Toronto. So did it in Toronto, and then you moved.
I literally moved to Toronto.
Yeah, and then so you moved. We went, and we've been. So you moved how many months ago?
July 1st.
All right, so not very months ago.
3 months ago.
So 3 months ago, and we've been doing workshops at WeWork now for 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah, like 4 months.
4 months. So we've done, as a function of that, we've had the opportunity to be able to go and get new market intelligence that helps validate this proposition, and also helps us speak to the value that's inherent in the idea of do what you love, and recognizing that people need a new structure to be able to support and sustain the momentum when you do what you love. And there are lots of examples presenting themselves right now in the press and business that actually reflect the fact that if you don't change the structure and you create a new foundational structure to do what you love, it's not gonna be sustainable. I won't bother mentioning any of the names of people on camera because we don't want to actually get anybody upset with us, but there's lots of talk in the press about not being able to support this new orientation to business that millennials actually come wired to expect. And they understand we're here for a good time. Mm-hmm. We're here to do what we love. We're here to actually follow our bliss, yes, to use the words of Joseph Campbell in The Hero's Journey. And so we've spent this time right now testing, and I believe we're now at the point in time having actually shot all kinds of video and then gone through the process. We
literally captured almost all of our meeting conversations.
Yes, and then going through them and reverse engineering as a function of looking at them. And our version, when we were doing consulting, we had people reverse engineer their performance by a methodology we call score tracking and trending. So you score yourself from 1 to 10, how close to your targets, your ideals, the things you're loving and you want to do relative to the trajectory you just introduced. The trajectory being, get out here and be held to your higher standards, which are a function of core values, purpose, and vision. And then scoring yourself daily how you're doing on that. 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. And then starting to realize that the higher you go, the lower you also have to go, so you can actually go down in the swamp, discover and then recover your superpower. Because that's where your superpower is. Your superpower is not up here. Superpower is down here. So we've done, about 30 videos to be able to go and support that relative to the software that's going to market called the Flow Response. Then we've done a whole pile of riff videos to be able to go and explain how the structure that has been in place for bricks and mortar, the flow has presented for bricks and mortar, and it's actually presenting in such a way that makes it really, really difficult for women to be successful in business in particular, relative to the professionalization of incubators, accelerators, scale-ups that's happening in the tech space that's actually bleeding over into absolutely every other space. So what the idea in bricks and mortar that professionals would actually do would actually put a lid on creative and put a lid on emotions so that we could consistently hit desired results time after time after time after time. And they didn't usually come in at the startup phase, nor did they come in at the scale-up phase. They usually came up when we needed to actually reinvent and professionalize the organization and put everyone in boxes and hierarchical roles, responsibilities, and all those types of things. But they've now, VCs in particular, are almost a commodity. In Toronto, I think we were told there's 100 accelerators. That's not mentioning what's going on in Communitech, and also down in Ottawa, and this phenomena of incubators, accelerators, and now scale-up platforms is something that I feel is actually commoditized. It's an indication that's being commoditized because there's just so many of them, and what they need is a transformer platform.
Right.
And the transformer platform is actually, what's really, really important to that is a new way of thinking, doing, and being, which then informs your stories, which is a new orientation.
Which informs your structure, inner structure, and that is flow. When we talk about flow structure, flow is understanding that the structure out there can always change, and we don't even have control over that. The only thing is our inner structure, and knowing what it is that we truly love to do, and truly being able to trust ourselves in, if we meet a stranger in a faux shop, that we decide to go
faux noodles.
That's very good. Very noodles. But the idea that you said you were looking for a different type of leadership.
Yeah, I was looking for a different orientation. So you came into the restaurant with your friend Mao, and it just for me lit up and said to me, pay attention to this person. And as a function of that, I was able to actually write and then create a strategy for myself relative to a problem I was having, is to go to market with the Flow platform. So all kinds of stuff came to me at that point in time that I couldn't get access to before, and so I was really, really appreciative. So when I was leaving, I went over and said, thank you to you two for being you, for radiating such clarity that allowed me to actually capture all kinds of new go-to-market strategies that I was struggling with because I had a lid on my thinking. And it's only after the fact now that even today I realize your gig is the pull that is a new marketing methodology that actually is entirely aligned with the mechanics and the principles of flow. Where in our consulting orientation, we'd help leadership shift to be more flow leadership, but we never really focused on marketing because all our referrals just came from word of mouth.
So I was doing being the marketing piece and being flow, just given the situation that I had just let go of my house, of a relationship, and a lot of other things. So I was literally in the flow and had set the intention / pull for this. So it really was like a divine meeting of coming together. And then I think it was the next day or 2 days after, you invited me to the office here and showed the models, and I was instantly able to see, just like you were able to stream from me, because that's what you do. You stream
we stream from each other. Yes.
So even as a stranger, you were just streaming my intention and also my understanding of the new way to do marketing.
Yes, and you kept on saying through that presentation, I had forgotten. He said, I can't tell you how much I love this. Like, I am so filled with love, and I had no context. I had no background. I wasn't holding any space for anything. I was just trying to actually move from where we've been to where we're going. So even the language, when you were talking about it, for me was, I'd heard the language, but I'd never really used it all that much in business of holding space, holding a vision.
And I wasn't using that language, I don't think, when we had met either.
No.
You were showing me these models that I had been looking for in terms of, like I said, I was looking for someone with some structure and business. And for me, when I saw that context of your models, and I remember you said, normally I don't show people this end of things.
Because it actually, people can't track.
But I was just like, keep going, because you're actually describing my vision in models.
Yeah, you're right.
Like that, because even the words agile, synchronicities, like all of these things were concepts. Authentic stance. I'm like, well, that's your personal power. That's what pulls. That's what. So everything was like ding, 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 and my mind was just blown because I had struggled to communicate my whole vision.
Because it's a big vision.
Because it's kind of a big
vision.
It's a big vision. And I know people can sense it.
Exactly. For me too, it's like it's a big vision. Like, oh my gosh, having marketing and being able to create a marketing methodology to be able to go and convey this big vision in advance of meeting someone is a game changer. Because a lot of times when I actually explain this to potential clients, they go, this sounds all very exciting, but you're hurting my head. It's too much for me to actually take in, and I couldn't actually even understand what that meant. And now, having worked through this and then having been able to put workshops together, we realized there's a way that's much lighter, much more accessible and digestible to stage an understanding of how a person's thinking, and therefore their approach to marketing and approach to sales and approach to business performance can change over a relatively short period of time, from one that actually is no longer working in bricks and mortar, because as I said earlier, it's about sustained success. Sustaining success in bricks and mortar is becoming more and more difficult as we actually move to digital. But digital is more aligned with this way of thinking that we've both been streaming and intuitively understood is very significant very significant for everybody on the planet, whether they're in business or not. And we've chosen to first focus on business and the performance in business, but this then translates very much to life and performance in life.
And I think just even how in business they talk about having a niche, like who's your niche, and define like their sex and their age and their this and their that, is also changing as an example of very diverse backgrounds.
Yes, they call that part, I had some inkling of before because we've been struggling for so many years. They call it psychographics. So it doesn't matter how old you are, if you have an understanding of it's exactly you hold on to an understanding that you are more than just this. You can do what you love. The world actually presents in a certain way that allows you to actually do what you love, and it supports you and it sustains your success. And when you're doing what you don't like, it actually is not so great. So they refer to that as psychographic. And you can be 3 years old, 20 years old, 100 years old. And that's very different. Psychographics is very different than demographics, which is the age, millennials, and then boomers. And it's also different than industries, which is tech versus pharma versus manufacturing, whatever the case may be. So I went on a journey as well when we met to start to figure out maybe I needed to actually focus more on a specific industry. So tech is what we started to actually focus on. And this works fantastic in tech, as fantastic as it works in absolutely any industry, in any sector, at any point in the evolution of your business, if you are aligned from a psychographic standpoint, which means we have some shared understanding of who I am, who you are, why you're here, how the world works for you, and how the world works in general, which we then call stance. So we have a similar stance, which is the psychographic fit. We are gonna hit it out of the park together, which is what we've been levering, not knowing where and how this is actually going to go, but just trusting. How can it actually go anywhere but up if we hold that stance?
Right. It's all about the stance. So people, even if you're watching this video, then we would know that you would have this shared stance.
Yes.
Because that's resonance brings you here.
Yeah. Like attracts like. So if a person holds a similar stance, and it's their structure of the stories they tell themselves and the thinking, and therefore they're doing in the business or life and having doing and being, this is going to resonate. And resonance in a business context is called trust. But in a complex living system, so the logic of complex living system, they call it resonance. And they have a resonance inside, and then a coherence with another system. We then merge together as one, so we become resonant. We start to attract other people that are resonant. There's all kinds of language available about that in the new
We have an episode called Resonant Cells.
Yes.
Premised on
Check
this
out the episode.
Fact. All right.
Flovering out.
Flovering out. Keep rocking on.